My city is Oklahoma City in the state of Oklahoma.
My city is Topeka, Kansas, in the state of Kansas. Oklahoma and Kansas showed similar trends in the month of January from 1994 to 2014. They first peaked around 2006, and they later showed another peak at around 2012, 2013 area. Oklahoma overall is about 10 degrees warmer than Kansas. Oklahoma is the state right below Kansas, which that could be a factor.
And they also border each other. Oklahoma and Kansas both had very similar trends in July. These temperatures are much more stable compared to January's. January's were much more extreme. Both states showed a peak in temperatures around the 2011-2012 area, and the temperatures cooled off after that in the following. These graphs do not show much existence of global warming in these states. The temperatures have cooled off in the years following 2011-2012.
When comparing annual precipitation for Kansas and Oklahoma, Kansas seems to have an average of around 37 inches per year compared to that of Oklahoma, which is around 27 inches per year. Kansas's minimum annual precipitation is right around 20 inches per year, and that is about the 25th percentile for Oklahoma. Both states seem to have outliers in their data, which are very extreme. Kansas are a bit more extreme at around 177 inches per year and 60 inches per year compared to Oklahoma's, which are right around 105 and 90. But overall, Kansas has more precipitation per year, around 10 more inches per year.
So Topeka, Kansas has about 4,900 heating degree days per year, while Oklahoma City has about 3,500, which is a difference of 1,400 heating degree days per year. And this is likely due to Oklahoma having a higher temperature average than Topeka. And a heating degree day is basically the amount of energy needed to heat a building above 65 degrees. So if a state is warmer, you would need less energy to heat the building because the outside temperature is warmer.
Kansas has about 1,500 cooling degree days on average per year, and Oklahoma has about 1,950 cooling degree days on average per year. This is because Oklahoma has a higher average temperature per year of about 10 degrees more than Kansas. Cooling degree days help buildings or electrical companies determine how much energy needs to be used to cool down the buildings during hot days of above 65 degrees.
Compare the relationships of heating degree days and cooling degree days while looking at these two scatter plots. The state of Oklahoma shows very little correlation between the two, and you can see on average there is less heating degree days and more cooling degree days. Kansas has a moderate correlation that's negative, and it has a higher average of heating degree days and less cooling degree days.
When looking at two scatter plots comparing heating degree days and precipitation, you can tell that the relationships are moderate in this one when the outliers are taken out of the scatter plots. They're also somewhat linear. Kansas's relationship is much stronger than Oklahoma's and much more linear when compared to Oklahoma's.
So in both Kansas and Oklahoma, you can see, looking at the scatter plots comparing cooling degree days to precipitation, there is a slight negative correlation between cooling degree days and precipitation, and it is weak to moderate, the correlation. And you can see as the cooling degree days increases, the precipitation will decrease, and it is more clear upon removing the outliers.
One of the biggest factors that could affect the climate in both Oklahoma and Kansas is the fact that they are both right in the middle of what is known as the tornado alley in the United States. As you can see in the red area, Kansas and Oklahoma have the most tornadoes annually, And tornadoes require certain conditions in order to form. And some of the conditions include cold fronts, low level zone of converging winds, or abundant low level moisture. This could lead some of the temperatures to be cooler compared to the average of the rest of the countries, and this is a big factor in changing the climate.